Why are today's leaders failing us? Decades ago, Kuan Yew predicted the rise of weak, corrupt leadership. What startling truths did he uncover? And how can they guide us today? Leadership is the backbone of every nation's success. But what happens when that backbone weakens? From scandals to eroding trust in institutions, the world is facing a leadership crisis like never before. Leaders fail to inspire, adapt, or prioritize the public, leaving nations vulnerable to stagnation. Kuan Yew, Singapore's founding father, foresaw this alarming trend. More than a leader, he was a visionary who believed strong leadership shapes a nation's destiny. His warnings about weak and corrupt leaders are more relevant than ever. In this video, we'll explore 1. What's causing the global decline in strong leadership? 2. How Kuan Yew's vision offers solutions. 3. What steps are needed to restore integrity in leadership? Lee's insights reveal powerful truths about leadership, corruption, and resilience. This is both a warning and a call to hope, because our future depends on the leaders we choose to follow. Let's dive in. Across the globe, leaders are increasingly failing to inspire, show integrity, or provide vision. Recent scandals have shaken trust in political systems, highlighting a troubling trend. Kuan Yew observed that leadership isn't just about holding power, it's about moral authority, a principle often overlooked today. Corruption is a glaring example. Leaders involved in scandals erode public trust, making meaningful change nearly impossible. But it's more than just money. It's about values. As Lee once said, if leaders cannot inspire confidence, how can they expect to lead? This problem spans the globe, from struggling democracies to authoritarian regimes. Weak leaders fail to unite, and corrupt ones deepen divisions. Lee warned that this isn't just a leadership crisis, it's a crisis of character. So, what's causing this decline? Is it greed, complacency, or deeper systemic flaws that undermine accountability and trust? Let's uncover Lee's timeless insights to better understand these challenges. Lee often warned that the greatest threat to effective leadership is the corruption of power. When leaders prioritize holding on to authority over serving their people, nations inevitably suffer. Power corrupts, he said, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. On the global stage, scandals involving misuse of public funds or influence peddling dominate headlines in democracies. Meanwhile, authoritarian regimes hide corruption behind propaganda and secrecy. In both cases, the fallout is clear: eroded trust and a growing divide between leaders and the people. But Lee didn't just blame individuals. He pointed to weak institutions as enablers of corruption. Without strong systems of accountability, unethical practices become entrenched, creating a vicious cycle. In Singapore, Lee tackled this head-on. By prioritizing transparency and integrity, he built a governance system that demanded the highest standards from its leaders. Despite criticism of his methods as authoritarian, Singapore became one of the least corrupt nations globally. So how can today's leaders and nations escape this destructive cycle? Lee's approach offers a blueprint, emphasizing the need for systems that hold power in check. Lee often emphasized that vision is essential to leadership. To him, a leader without a clear and ambitious vision isn't truly leading, but merely managing decline. The greatest leaders, he believed, look beyond short-term gains to leave a lasting legacy for future generations. Consider today's leadership landscape. How many prioritize quick wins over sustainable progress? From poorly planned infrastructure to economic policies that mortgage the future, these decisions reveal a troubling lack of foresight. Lee argued that leadership without vision leads to stagnation. He believed leaders must think in decades, not years, and build systems that outlast their time in office. Singapore stands as proof of this philosophy. Lee's transformative policies in education, housing, and economic development turned a struggling city-state into a global success. This raises a vital question. Where are today's leaders with such vision? Lee's blueprint shows that true leadership isn't just about addressing the present, it's about preparing for the future. One of Lee's most striking warnings was about the erosion of accountability in leadership. He argued that true leaders hold themselves to the highest standards, not out of obligation, but out of duty to the people they serve. Today, scandals involving corruption, misuse of power, and lack of transparency are widespread. Leaders often prioritize personal gain or political survival over public service. This erodes trust in institutions, leaving societies divided and disillusioned. Li believed accountability must start at the top. Leaders who lead by example set the standard for their government or organization. In Singapore, his zero-tolerance approach to corruption created a culture where accountability wasn't just encouraged, it was expected. Why has this principle declined in so many places? Is it the complexity of modern governance, or have leaders simply lost sight of their purpose? Li's unwavering commitment to integrity offers a blueprint for restoring trust and rebuilding leadership today. Li understood that corruption is a poison that corrodes leadership and weakens nations. Leaders who prioritize personal gain over public service destroy trust, hinder progress, and leave their societies vulnerable to collapse. In Singapore, Li's zero-tolerance approach to corruption made the nation a global model of clean governance. By ensuring high salaries for officials, enforcing strict anti-corruption laws, and demanding public accountability, he kept leadership focused on serving the people. In contrast, regions plagued by corruption often see bribery, nepotism, and embezzlement deeply embedded in leadership. Li once said, "If you want to fight corruption, you must start with the leadership." He believed a nation's integrity begins at the top, with leaders committed to prioritizing the public good. Corruption's impact isn't just economic, it erodes trust, stifles innovation, and deepens inequality. What would it take for corrupt nations to embrace a leadership model rooted in integrity? Li's example proves that transformation is possible, but requires unwavering commitment from those in power. Li often emphasized the link between culture and leadership, arguing that a society's values shape its leaders. Cultures that prioritize collective well-being and accountability tend to produce leaders with integrity and purpose. However, the rise of individualism has eroded these foundations. Leaders now often prioritize personal ambition over community needs. Li observed that weakening family structures fray societal bonds, creating a void in accountability. "A strong family creates a strong society," he said, emphasizing that leadership begins at home. This shift is reflected in global trends of self-promotion, short-term thinking, and image over substance. In such environments, systemic issues like poverty, inequality, and corruption often go unaddressed. Li's insights challenge us to rethink leadership values. True progress, he believed, stems from fostering a culture of responsibility, humility, and service. Qualities that inspire leaders to act for the greater good, not personal gain. Li often highlighted the connection between culture and leadership, emphasizing that a society's values shape the integrity and purpose of its leaders. Societies prioritizing collective well-being and accountability tend to foster leaders who serve with integrity. However, the rise of individualism has eroded these foundations. Leaders increasingly prioritize personal ambition over community needs. Li noted that weakened family structures fray societal bonds, creating a void in accountability. A strong family creates a strong society, he argued, pointing to the home as the foundation of leadership. This cultural shift has led to trends of self-promotion, short-term thinking, and style over substance. In such environments, systemic issues like poverty and inequality often go unaddressed. Li's insights urge us to reevaluate leadership values. True progress, he believed, stems from fostering responsibility, humility, and service. Qualities that drive leaders to act for the greater good rather than personal gain. Li once remarked, "Power corrupts, but the lack of accountability corrupts absolutely." He understood that unchecked authority often leads to decisions driven by personal gain rather than public good. This is evident today as leaders consolidate power by dismantling democratic institutions or manipulating laws. Li observed that corruption thrives in environments lacking transparency and accountability, starting with small compromises, like accepting favors or bending rules, before spiraling into systemic decay. In many cases, leaders prioritize loyalty over competence, surrounding themselves with individuals who safeguard their power instead of challenging unethical practices. Li emphasized that integrity must start at the top. By enforcing accountability, leaders can inspire trust and confidence in governance. Singapore stands as a testament to this principle. Under Lee's leadership, zero-tolerance policies on corruption transformed it into a global economic powerhouse. As he put it, leadership is about serving the people, not serving yourself. His example underscores that fighting corruption is essential to preserving effective and legitimate leadership worldwide. Lee often warned that the true test of leadership emerges in times of crisis. As the world grapples with challenges like climate change, economic inequality, and geopolitical tensions, the need for ethical, effective leaders has never been greater. Lee emphasized that future leaders must combine vision and resilience, prioritizing long-term stability over short-term gains. He admired those willing to make tough, unpopular decisions for the greater good. Yet Lee recognized the complexities of modern leadership. Social media amplifies scrutiny, and global interconnectivity ensures that decisions in one nation ripple across others. This demands leaders who are adaptable, empathetic, and dedicated to fostering trust. Leadership, Lee believed, is not about holding power, it's about empowering others. His vision calls for leaders to abandon self-interest and embrace purpose-driven governance. To Lee, the future hinges on a global revival of integrity, accountability, and courage in leadership. Lee's timeless reflections warn of weak, corrupt leadership, but also inspire hope. His vision of accountability, resilience, and integrity offers a roadmap for leaders today. The challenges we face demand nothing less. He warned of the rise of weak and corrupt leaders, the erosion of integrity, and the dangers of prioritizing power over purpose. Yet he also offered hope, emphasizing that leadership rooted in vision, resilience, and accountability could drive progress and stability. As we navigate the challenges of the 21st century, his insights serve as both a cautionary tale and a guide to what true leadership requires. Inspired by Lee's vision, discover how he turned Singapore into a global powerhouse against all odds. Click now to watch and join us as we explore the stories that shape our world.